We'll get started here. Number one, welcome to Melbourne Strength Cultures podcast. Number one in the hearts, number one in the charts. We've got Seb Oreb here, which is like a dream come true for the boys. We've just been talking shit for about 30 minutes as we set this up. And I think Donnie's done it all right. He's given us the thumbs up. So thank you very much for having us.
Thank you for being here.
At the exclusive base gym.
I was expecting two of you, then I see an entourage.
Yeah.
It's like, this is exciting.
Yeah. No, we roll deep.
Full on production.
Yeah. We've come up here to do, we've got 5. We tried to get James Smith PT. I'm going to put him on blast. He said yes and his manager said no.
Really?
Yeah. He said it was booked out till September. He's too big for us.
He's busy.
Yeah, he's a busy boy.
He does well.
Oh, for sure.
He's a busy man.
It's like I just saw his TikTok account yesterday. He's at 900,000.
Wow.
He grew. I was speaking about it with a friend of ours, Sonny Webster. You may have heard of him as
Yes,
well.
yep.
He said, yeah, because we're talking about social media, and he goes, yeah, he grew at 250,000 overnight on TikTok.
Wow.
Yeah, you can't do that on other platforms, not anymore.
Yeah.
But it's like, good on him. But I believe it when he says he's busy.
Yeah. He's a busy boy. I want to roll all the way back to the start, though, where we first came across you, which was the Arnold. Which year was it, Charlie?
So the first Arnold I went to was 2015, and I saw you lifting there. And I just started lifting. I was playing sport back then, and I started doing a bit of strength training to obviously facilitate sport. And I started to realise, hey, I like this better than the sport itself. And we go to the Arnold. I was probably 20. I'm 29 now, so I've been 22 then, 21, 22. And I saw you lifting there, and you were just like this presence. You used to just fucking commanded the platform.
Thank you.
Like,
That's a nice compliment.
Yeah, it was unlike anyone else. So you had this, and it was probably when you just started to get big on social media too, and you had this big following. You got this name as well, Australian Strength Coach. It's got this good brand. You know, it's like iconic behind it. So went there, saw you lift, and I was like, this guy is the best. This guy is fucking unbelievable.
Man, you guys are too kind.
Yeah.
The first time I heard of you guys was you guys speaking highly of me on this channel, and it's like, wow, that's a new thing. Usually it's the trend to bag people on social.
Nah.
It's like, oh, okay.
No. I think
like
it was.
you guys.
We can bag people too.
We can bag them too. Don't worry.
There's a few people in our bad books, but you're definitely
Luke Lehman helped set this up. Yeah.
Yeah, he
thankfully.
did. That's right. He did contact me and said, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, why didn't they contact me? Of course I'll say yes.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, yeah, it was good because we're doing these little tours. We went to Queensland. We did Luke Lehman. We did Will Crozier and Mickey. We did Jared Powell, the shoulder physio.
There's Hattie Boydle as well.
Hattie Boydle. And then
Will told me this was the best podcast he'd ever done.
Oh, yeah, nice. Will's the man. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on. And now we're obviously in Sydney, and you're the first guest in Sydney.
So
we've just come off the flight. We've taken over your gym, as we normally do, with a couple of suitcases and a couple of cameras.
Welcome. You are welcome.
Thank you.
I might just add, though, I want to say just to everyone that those toilets are unbelievable.
I've never seen toilets like that in another gym. It was an experience.
I was at like a suite in the casino.
That's my wife's doing.
Beautiful
She's an interior
toilet.
designer, and everything pretty around here is hers.
Yeah.
And as I said to you before, and then the Alico's mine.
Yeah, you've done all the gym. You've done the gym part.
Yeah.
You just got the finishing touches.
touches.
I'm losing my voice here because I'm actually really excited. But we drew a lot of inspiration from your setup with our new gym and our new facility. You guys have got these like the cool lights and everything. Obviously, you use the space for content and also seminars and stuff.
Yeah.
Was it always a dream for you to create? Obviously, you've been private for a little while, but was this always in the plan, or is it sort of just evolved?
It was an accident, I would have to say.
Yep.
So it's kind of like I started as a personal trainer. This is year 18 for me. So I was at a commercial gym, and you know, as a personal trainer, you encounter people that have the money to afford the luxury of personal training. And so I had a lot of successful people that would come to me. They were my clients, and they'd speak to me about my future. And a lot of successful people look at personal training as though there isn't much of one. So they'd say things like, well, you know, what do you plan to do when you're like, surely you can't do PT when you're 40 or 50 or whatever it is. And so I kind of got sick of having people say that to me. So I thought I need to have an answer for them when they do. So my answer was, I'm working towards opening my own gym. Yep. Like I thought that was just the natural progression. Like there are so many natural progressions, and actually a lot of people I actually don't advise to go down that path because it's a headache. Yep. I used to have a full head of hair, and then I opened base gym. Gone. yeah. But anyway, I do love it. But I you know, that was my goal as kind of like a shut up everyone for asking me what I want to do.
Yep.
So there you go. Have it now. I want to open my own gym. All right, one day I'll have it. Never thought it'd happen. I just thought that's just what I'm telling people for now. Ended up doing it, and we opened a gym called Base Gym in North Sydney, which is on the other side of the Harbour Bridge to where we are.
Was that the one with the glass window?
That's the one.
And the belt buckle mark in the ceiling that you threw your belt into?
You've seen it? That is the one. The iconic belt throw.
That was the old one. I remember that with the glass. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone knows it as the glass and the white wall.
Yeah.
The white wall at Base Gym.
Yeah.
And so that was open to the public, and I kind of saw it as this place where I didn't know how it would work out, but I just thought it was going to be a personal training studio. And the way that we structured it, like the rent there was premium rent, so North Sydney is pretty expensive.
Yep.
And it was like the size of the gym was 300 square meters. Of that, there's office space, there's bathroom space. That we had a cafe as well. And
you did too.
Yeah, and we couldn't actually have it so that there was a lot of members at one time. So if there was maybe 15 people in the gym, it's packed. And it's pretty hard to make a business and pay that type of rent when you can only have a small amount of people at one time. I think we got to about 100 members, which was still not really giving us the lifestyle that we were after, like the amount of hours that we were putting into the gym. And anyhow, 5 years on, we started going well with online, like we fell into seminars, we fell into online coaching. And that started being the main income earner for our business, to the point where we kind of said, you know what, all of the time that we're spending on keeping the gym closed to events like that, we could be making more money with our gym space. And this was at the exact time where the building we're in was bought by another company, and they kicked out all of the tenants. And we moved here. And as soon as we opened here, we kind of looked at it and said, you know what, we don't need members.
Yeah.
Because, gym memberships these days, I don't even know what the prices are, but it's so competitive. There's so many gyms. What is it? It's Anytime Fitness is like $10 a week.
No.
$20 a week.
$20 a week for those sort of places.
Yeah, I can't afford to have people in here for only $20 a week.
No.
We interrupt this program for a word from our sponsors, the fantastic Get Going. We know a lot of personal trainers follow this podcast and subscribe and listen. Thank you very much for doing so. However, we also know that the career of a personal trainer can sometimes be short-lived, and a lot of careers go to die on the gym floor, struggling to find clients and find leads, dealing with marketing and sales, all these skill sets that you didn't subscribe to when you started your career in the gym as a personal trainer. And this is where Get Going come in. At Get Going, they are dedicated with helping the development of personal trainers' careers. They are looking for personal trainers to join their ranks and receive full support and guidance from a dedicated team of mentors, as well as a full sales and marketing team to guarantee leads on your doorstep. If you're interested in working for Get Going and actually starting a career in health and fitness, you can find it through the first link in the description box down below, or you can head to www.getgoingpt.com.au/careers.
So we canned that, and now that's what this space is, and I love it. So it's like, someone paying me $10 a week, and then they get my Eleiko barbell and they dump it on a power rack, and I look at them funny, and they're like, what
are you doing, mate? It's just a bar.
It's just a bar, and that was a hard pill to swallow for me, watching people just smashing my bars. It's like, oh, and you can't say to them, don't touch my barbells either, because it's a gym, So I didn't want to be that guy either, so we just canned it. Yeah. And that's it. Now it was pretty lucky that we did that, because this happened about a year before COVID came. And so we had all of our systems in place to have income and without having people here. And when COVID came, it was like, of course I didn't want COVID to happen, but it wasn't that bad for our business.
Yeah, with an online business, you don't have much risk.
Yeah, exactly.
Space, yeah,
exactly. So it was kind of lucky, but it's also, a lot of work is involved. So I don't want to say this was my dream and this is what I planned. There's no way I would have planned for majority of the things that I've done in my life to happen. There's no way I could have planned that. But it happened, and I'm very happy that we're here.
For sure.
And but there's still so much to go.
Yeah, well, it's like a beacon, especially for people and teams like us. Like, we look at what you've done, and it's like, this is the direction. Because there's not many in Australia that have, especially with the space, have utilised it to grow the brand and all of that sort of stuff, or whether it's a gym with members or for yourself, like content in your online streams.
Yeah.
There's not many in Australia. They're definitely over in America, but they're starting to, and it's motivating for us. So it really is cool to see and how it's evolved. And
I think the whole industry is moving online as well.
Oh, for sure.
So I think it's just bound to happen, especially with the amount of gyms it's just hard competition.
Yeah.
There is something I wanted to ask you as well, because I think everyone probably looks at you as this guy now with this successful online business, does seminars, has trained some of the biggest weapons in the world. But you mentioned the world's best, literally. And a lot of people would be like, how do I get there right now? But something you mentioned before is you're training people, personal training, which for some reason people look down on now. I think it's crucial for a lot of people's development.
Totally. Even
for those that want to get into the online space. How did you build up from just personal training people in that space to slowly, because I'm sure it would have been a slow incremental process to where you are now, to dealing with some of the world's best strength athletes?
So there's
a long journey.
It is a long journey, and there's a few stories that contribute to this. One of them, I will give a special shout out to my wife and her sister. They're known as the Base Body Babes.
Yep.
Now they came in the scene. I'd been a personal trainer for close to, I think it was about 10 years, and they came in the scene. They were approached by a lady who was opening a social media platform, and this lady asked them, can you please open up a platform and be part of my blogging space and whatever it is. So my wife had given birth to my daughter a couple of years before this, and she got in really great shape. And her sister always trained with me. You guys probably have heard of her, Dinny J.
Dinny J. We lined up for a photo with her at that same event. Yeah, I'd have to find it. Yeah,
how funny.
I used to follow her.
A lot of people do. She's a cool chick.
She's strong as fuck.
Totally. She's a beast. And so they came in the scene by accident as well, and as a favour to a friend who asked them to start up a social media account. So they opened up an account called Fit Mums or Super Mums in Training, something like that, because it was all about training mums, and it was no intention to do anything besides help a girl with a social media profile. Long story short, they took off on social media, and they grew really quickly, which was something that was possible to be done in the early days of Instagram. These days, if you open an account, you just don't grow that fast.
Yeah.
So they were kind of like, first in, best dressed scenario. Now they grew their following quite well, and I used to make fun of them. It's like, I'm the one that does it, and you guys come in here and just kick me out of my industry. But it was actually largely them to thank for me opening my social media account and working through them to build my account. So there's one story. That's how it was like, all right, so get on Instagram. That was the first thing. And that was, I don't know how many years ago, 5 or 6, 8 years ago. I don't know, whatever it was.
It was a while ago.
It was a while ago. And so I opened on Instagram. I also had access to a couple of professional athletes. Now in Australia, not many personal trainers train professional athletes, but I knew professional athletes because I used to do martial arts, and I approached these people and I asked them if I could train them for free. And they were my friends, and they said, for sure, why not? So I became known as the guy who trains the pros, even though I wasn't making money from it or doing anything, but there was no one else doing it. So that led to more professional athletes coming my way. And because I was promoting it all through social media, no one else was doing it. It's like, Bass is the guy who trains the pros. Let's just go to him. So I built from martial artists to professional NRL footy players and, high-level powerlifters as well, because that's the sport that I played. From there, that was all about the social media. Actually, we opened our gym, Base Gym in North Sydney, and a PR company got in contact with the girls, with Base Body Babes, and said, we've got a fellow by the name of Thor coming over to promote SodaStream products.
He comes.
Would you be interested in attending? And they came and told me, and I'm like, get me in that room. Not because I wanted to, I just wanted to be in his presence.
Yeah, sure.
This is Thor Bjornsson, I want to train with this guy. Anyhow, so half an hour later, so the girls went and did their magic, and they came back to me half an hour later and they said, we might be able to get it so that you're hosting it with him.
Oof.
I thought, that's a dream come true. Get out of here, as if this is going to happen. Anyway, one thing led to another, and it happened. It was like, I'm not only am I hosting it, but I'm also getting paid. And I'm thinking, this isn't
a SodaStream event.
A SodaStream event. So what it was. So I don't know if you've seen any of the SodaStream commercials that he's done. You should Google it.
I don't think I have seen them.
Hey, they're hilarious, actually. Yeah. I won't explain them.
The only I think he owns the company though. It's like Icelandic yogurt or something.
He does.
He slams that. Yeah, that's the only product
now.
I've seen. Yeah.
But he's very charismatic because he's like the stereotypical strongman. Like he's big. He's Icelandic and he's massive. I don't know.
He's a giant.
When you see him, you just know.
Yeah.
You don't even have to know what he does. You just look at him and you can't look away.
And he started as a soda stream salesman.
not a salesman.
I know
he was the ambassador.
Yeah.
And it was actually like everyone. I urge you all to Google it. This isn't even a plug for SodaStream, but it's actually hilarious. The commercials that he did. And the job was for me, because they knew that I was a presenter for Strength, to showcase him as this legend, which is a very easy task. It's just all you have to do is point the audience to him, and that does itself.
See you later.
But anyhow, so he came to my gym, and the PR managers or whoever was managing him said to me, the problem is he's Icelandic, his English isn't great, so you might have a tough time communicating with him. I said, it's all good. He'll come into my gym, he'll look around, and he'll be at home. Because I had, really nice equipment, and I do this for a living, like I present for a living, and I know how to talk, and I'll make him at home. It's totally fine. So he walked in the door, this big giant, 6'9", and I walked up to him and I introduced myself, and he was just, blank look on his face, and I said, let me show you around. So I showed him around and I said, this is what I have planned for today. And it was a bit of a relief for him because he wasn't a presenter and he wasn't much of an English speaker either. Like he could, but not enough to present an entire thing. And when he realized that I was able to take charge, he was at ease and he thought, cool, I'm just going to stand here, you talk, and I'll just lift when you tell me to come up and lift. And, one of the parts, so it's just like, the easiest things that we can get people to participate in is the barbell movements, squat, bench, press, deadlift. And we're at bench press time, and I had, the bench set up, and I said to the guys in the audience, I said to Thor in front of the audience, Thor, what's your biggest bench press? And he said, 230 kilograms. I said, right, guys, that's 5 blue plates plus an extra little one on the sides. Hands up in the room, who can do that? And everyone's like, wow, as if I can, And then my wife jumps in and goes, you can. And I just stood there and I just went, I didn't mean for it to come my direction, but I'm looking in my peripheral vision and Thor's just whipped his head and he's just staring at me.
So he hadn't seen you lift, he had no idea that you could,
No idea. But that was the fact of it. I'd just come back from competition. I bench pressed, that was my best at the time, 230 kilograms. From there, Thor put his hand up like he was a student in the class and he said, Sebastian, can I try the bench? And I'm like, of course. He jumped in. He bench pressed 235 kilograms for a double.
Yeah.
He's not going to let me get away with that.
Nah.
Do you know what I mean?
Straight in.
And then
competitive.
We interrupt this program from a word from our sponsors, which are today Metric VBT, which is a brand new velocity-based training app that is housed in your iPhone. So it's just like a typical app. There's no hardware, no clunky boxes that you have to magnetize to the floor or a rack to see how fast or how far you're moving the barbell. Metric VBT simply records the set through your iPhone camera and uploads the data to its cloud. Up until now, tracking velocity with barbell lifts for the average gym goer or home trainer just hasn't been viable. It's just too expensive, too clunky. The software is too hard to use. And this is where Metric VBT has come in to fill the market. It's a free app that you can use. It's accurate. It uses the camera on your iPhone, so every single person that has an iPhone can use it. And you can simply download it through the first comment in the YouTube channel or the first link in the bio. My favorite thing about the app is that it not only tracks your velocity and your range of motion, but it also tells you things like velocity-based drop-offs that you can learn to match with your RPE training. We love RPE training. This is just another step down the direction of creating objective data for your training and your strength training. Because it is a new app, they're still adding new features regularly, so please get on board, download Metric VBT from the App Store, use it, sync it, and let us know how you go with your training. Back to the program.
100%. He's
the world's strongest man.
Number one on the planet.
Yeah, 100%.
And so that was, there's a few things that happened. We went out for dinner, all these things. The next day he came and trained with me and he said to me, he didn't say to me, he asked me if I would be his coach. And it's like, damn.
I wanted to ask this, like, what does that feel like when you've got arguably the number one person of all of strength, and he's broken world records, the deadlift record and all this sort of stuff. Like, as a coach, are you nervous? Are you...
No doubt.
heart in the throat, like straight away.
No
like,
doubt.
What if I fuck this up? Like, what if I?
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
And it's just the whole thing of Richard Branson quote that I follow. It's if someone asks you to do something, even if you don't know how to do it, say yes, learn to do it later. I'd never coached anyone for strongman before, but I knew that my approach to training would absolutely help him. Like, this is the thing. I don't know how to lift Atlas stones or carry yokes or throw implements or do any of those strongman events, but I do know how to structure training. I'd worked with my mentors, Ernie Lillybridge Sr. and his son, Eric Lillybridge. So
Big names.
For those who don't know, he's one of the greatest powerlifters of all time. I think he's still the current world record holder in the 140 kilogram class. And they taught me a lot about not just how to train and prioritizing technique, but also recovery with the super heavyweight
With the big
lifts.
boys.
Yeah. So the way that they structure their training, for those who don't know, is they squat and deadlift on the same day. They do 1 week a heavy squat, like really heavy, over 400 kilos. His best squat is 480 kilograms. So over 400 kilograms, and then it's accessory work on deadlifts. And then the next week, it'd be the opposite of that. So max out on deadlifts, which is 400 plus, and then accessory work on squats. And the rationale behind this was at that level, when you're lifting weights this much, I don't even want to say over triple body weight, because you can get a really light person lifting triple body weight. It's absolute weight that we're talking about now. This is for the heavyweights.
400 plus kilos.
Totally. It's like that's incomprehensible for many people.
Yeah.
But for these guys, it was a thing that I didn't comprehend, that if you load your spine too much with heavy lifts multiple times per week, the body can't recover from it. And it's like, no, I'm not going to follow that. I'm not lifting that heavy. I'll detrain. That won't be good. Anyway, I was lucky enough to have some big athletes come my way at this time. And it's like, well, this is kind of what we need to start doing. So one of the other big athletes who you may see today, he might come in, that's Alex Simon. His social media name is Godly Strong.
I know, yeah. I went to a fight. I can't remember what year it was, and it lasted about 13 seconds. He came over the top. It was some poor New Zealand kid.
It was scary.
I think he was even a ring-in. There was like 3 competitors had pulled out. They didn't want to fight him, and they just brought this like 19-year-old heavyweight over.
Yeah.
And Alex literally ding, 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 and just
straight in,
steamrolled him straight on the ground. I'm like, what did I just witness?
He's a giant of a human. He's just one of those people. Like when I met him, he was 18 years old, and he was only 130 kilograms back then.
Only.
Well, compared to now, he's
180 or whatever.
Well, he got to 185, but today he's a lean 160. But literally, you take a look at him. Back then, I'd never really been around huge people like this, and you take a look at him. My brother was the one that introduced me. He said, "There's this 18-year-old kid. He's 130 kilograms." I'm thinking, that's pretty big.
Yeah.
Show me him, And you look at him, and there's something special about him. He's just, when people look at his feet, I don't know if you can see it on camera. When you say someone's foot's this big, people go, his foot's this big. You know what I mean? Like he's just thick.
Yeah. I saw him at the UFC in Melbourne a few years ago, and I saw him straight away. Knew exactly who he was, and he was like just ginormous compared to every other layman.
The other thing that he's got is he's athletic as fuck.
Totally.
Never seen a guy
he's
rotate
mobile.
like that.
Yeah.
He's mobile. He's coordinated. He's agile. It's like that doesn't really match with someone that big.
No.
But he's got it. He's an incredible human, and my job with him was always. Not my job, like my goal with him was to take him down the powerlifting, because I think he can make some serious damage in this sport. But his passion was for fighting. And it's like, you can't really control someone. People want to do what they want to do, but you can only try and point their head in that direction and help them make that decision. We're kind of back here at the moment with him. He's I don't know if you're following, but he's back to lifting outrageous numbers again.
I know he had a couple of injuries. I think he bicep tear or something.
Yeah, that was sparring Paul Gallen.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for Paul Gallen's recent fight, he
no way.
Yeah, Alex tore his bicep. That was leading up to he was going to have an exhibition fight with Thor Bjornsson.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And lead up for Eddie.
Your whole little
lead up for Eddie.
Yeah.
So this was all like Thor asked me, "Do you think Alex would?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah, Alex would." This is a huge opportunity, and it's great training sparring partner, or it's an exhibition fight, so it's not sparring, but it's a great way of Thor to train for Eddie, because if you followed any of my pages, whenever you see Alex or Godly Strong in the background of my lifts, you'll always see comments saying, "I thought that was Eddie."
Oh, really?
Always, because he looks exactly like he's the same height, same size, everything. And even when he has a mohawk, he looks exactly like Eddie Hall.
Yeah.
And he's 6'3". You know, he's 160 to 180 kilograms. This is the same size as Eddie Hall. And he can fight.
Yeah.
So he would have been the perfect training partner for Thor.
There wouldn't be many out there.
Exactly.
Yeah, there'd be a very small handful of people that frame, that size, that
If anyone hasn't seen it, by the way, you see heavyweights kick, and they don't fight. Like, I don't know if anyone listening to this has seen like Thai fighters kick, and the way that they just pivot on that front leg and roll their hip in.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
only heavyweight that I've seen kick like that on pads, even whatever, is Alex Simon. So if you haven't gone on his Instagram, please do, because it is sickening. That's why when I saw that fight, I'm like, I don't actually know because I love fighting. Like, I've watched it my whole life.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I actually don't know if I want to see someone get hit by this
I do.
Me too. And the funny thing, he's never kicked anyone.
Yeah.
So he's just
rolls.
Yeah, he just comes in and it's like, how do you think a gorilla should fight someone? Like, they wouldn't need to do anything. They'll just go in there and rip the guy's head off.
Yeah.
That's kind of what Alex does.
Yeah.
But it's like, dude, all you need to do is jab a guy, you knock his head off. Yeah. You know, a quick kick will do a lot of damage, even if they block it. But I don't know if you've seen the heavy bag that I have here.
It might actually be on that camera.
Yeah, that bag, if you punch it, it'll break your hand. Like, it's just huge and heavy. To be honest with you, it was a bit of a mistake buying it. Like, I thought, I'll get a heavy bag because I got guys like Alex. And I just got into boxing a little bit as well. But even for me to hit that, it's just like, man, my 40-year-old body can't take it.
It needs 16-ounce gloves.
Totally. But then he comes in and gives it a quick kick, just a warm-up kick. And you see the thing ding. Yeah. It's a massive dent in the side of he bends the bag. And it's like, yeah, I'd hate to be kicked by that. But anyway, back to these heavyweights. Like, the lessons that I learned from the Lily Bridges when it came to recovery of all things helped me improve guys like Alex, like, really, really quickly, because it's like, don't go heavy all the time. You know, don't squat and deadlift heavy in the same week. Your body needs more time to recover than ordinary people like us. And that went a long way with Alex. And then I implemented that with Thor's training, alongside a lot of my other training principles that I have, and it was very successful with Thor. So I knew, even though it was one of those moments where, oh my goodness, what am I going to do with he's number one on the planet? How can I possibly help this guy? I knew I had the tools, because one thing that I knew about him just by looking at him was he's that good because look at him. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, he's a giant. That's why, of course, giants are strong. But then if you throw a little bit of structure and technique and recovery to a giant like this, let's see what can happen now. And that's exactly what we did. So that was my approach with training Thor, was technique, recovery, and structure. And then the rest was history.
And he's got the base, he's got the foundation
exactly.
to let it grow and.
Yeah, he knows how to pull a truck. He knows how to pick up the big
the GPP
objects.
stuff.
Exactly. But he wasn't a specialist in the static lifts, but I was. So it was actually a perfect combination for Thor to, by accident, seek out a powerlifting trainer. And that's it. The rest is history.
Have you helped him at all with the recent boxing endeavour that he went through?
No. So yes, he still loves doing weights, and he always says to me, "Can you write a new program just to help with my boxing? I'm not going to do that much weights, so 2 days a week maybe." And I would, but he wouldn't. He'd hardly stick to it. And he came to a point where just towards the end, he was literally doing no weights at all. So not much.
Yeah. Until he gets back.
I reckon it's important to note with him as well, when you started training him, he was also in Game of Thrones, which was the biggest, most talked about show on the planet. So not only did people in the strength and conditioning and strongman world know who he was,
Hollywood
but
as well.
You spoke to a mum and they knew who he was because he's that massive guy in Game of Thrones.
Exactly. And that's, more people knew him through Game of Thrones than through Strongman. So I knew him through Strongman because I'm a strength enthusiast. Yeah. And I've never even watched an episode of Game of Thrones. Yeah. Apparently it's amazing.
Until the last season, apparently they dropped the ball a little bit.
I heard 1 to 6 could be the greatest show ever made, and they
heard
just
that,
7
yeah.
or 8, they just really stuffed it up.
Not seen it either.
But yeah, like walking around with him, you know that. Like everyone comes up to you.
Yeah.
They come up to him.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
They're not coming up to me.
Yeah.
They
Who's
come
his
out-
bodyguard? And why is he smaller than him?
Exactly. But at the same time, it was handy having me and a lot of his friends around because he's a super sweet guy, actually. And a lot of people come to him and they look up to him and it's like they want autographs and they want photographs and it's really awkward for him because he'll be in the middle of dinner with a fork in his face eating food and someone will come up to him and say, have Thor squeeze my head, crush my skull and take a photo. And he's got food in his mouth and he's like, I just want to spend time with my family and friends. But he wouldn't say no because he knows the impact that he has on people. So he's really sweet. So then it's like guys like us that have to do the shit work and say, oh, guys, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Give him some space. Yeah.
A little later on.
Give your weird fetish a break.
It was
Yeah, exactly.
We'll just stay on we don't want to do the whole thing on Hathball, but
Sure.
it's so fascinating. You also lived with his family, did you not?
I did.
You moved over there for a period of...
Yeah, so all of his competitions, which was so frequent, my whole family would go over there and live with his family.
Yeah.
Iceland.
In Iceland. So, yeah, my daughter's been to Iceland like 6 times.
Yeah.
And she's 12. And the last 3 years we didn't do anything through COVID. So it's like, yeah, we've done a lot of travel to Iceland. Yeah.
Iceland's cool.
What's the family like? Are they all massive?
The funny thing,
Like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
But you get used to the size thing.
Yeah.
And it's just normal, right? And the thing is, they're just normal people.
Yeah, for sure.
Everyone, even Thor, he's just like one of the boys.
Yeah.
And they're all quite, it's funny because they are literally just one of the boys. And all of the guys there that you hang out with, and this is what they say, in Iceland there's not much to do. So you go there and they just dare you to do dumb shit. Like, I've got the hottest chili in the world, I dare you to eat it.
What was that show? Is it maybe they're a different nationality? The Dudesons.
Was it?
Remember that? They're like the Jackass.
They were from
version.
Finland. They were from Finland.
Okay.
Oh my
haven't
God.
seen
It's like
It's
Jackass,
like Jackass, but
but Finnish.
Right.
winter version of Jackass. They were just in the snow, like jumping off mountains and stuff. Yeah.
So
It'll
I'm sure
probably
it'd be very similar.
There's
yeah.
not much to do there, so they just do
weights
dumb shit.
and dumb shit.
Yeah, lift weights and do dumb shit.
Did you, when you went over there, because I've actually been to Iceland, and I went in the summer, and it literally didn't get dark,
Yeah.
and it threw me off. It warped me. So
It's actually not that nice when it's
Yes.
when it's like that because it's like you want to sleep at some point,
Yeah, it never
and
gets
it's just sunlight. You get an hour of darkness, and it's just strange.
Yeah. So
So you go to bed and it's daytime, and it's like it's not bedtime, but then you're pretty beaten up because you haven't slept either.
yeah, it's weird. It's really weird. We were seeing like tourist sites because we were driving around in a car, and we were getting to midnight. It's full daylight like it is outside
Yeah.
now, and it's just
So
like
weird.
You don't know what the hell's going on. And then in winter, it's the opposite. Were you there in winter?
I've been
All
all
the
the
time?
time, yeah, and it's just in winter it's just we get there at 10 a.m. and it's pitch black.
That's
it's
crazy.
crazy.
It's actually crazy. What was worse, winter or summer? Or both? Just trip you out.
I'm different, but
Yeah.
I like the winter better.
Yeah.
Of all
The dark-
The darkness.
The darkness.
You're
But
a
I was
dark
only
man.
there. I was only there for a month though. I'm sure you'd go to.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure.
You'd probably
sure
get
you would.
vitamin D deficiency pretty quick. You'd just be feeling like
absolutely.
shit. Your testosterone drops.
Totally.
Liver King.
Yeah. Liver King.
Yeah.
You need that liver.
We need the liver.
The liver and the sunlight.
Awful.
Yeah.
Something that, like, obviously you've trained yourself to a fairly high level. Like, obviously nailing pro raw, crazy total, crazy lifter overall. Like, I think that coaches need to train. Obviously, to what extent do you think taking your training to such a serious level has helped your coaching?
I think that the whole way, like if I didn't lift to this level, I wouldn't be able to coach to this level.
Yeah.
And it's not just about, well, I know the techniques because I teach people in their first year and they also know the techniques. But it's something that I speak a lot about with being a high-level coach is to empathize with your clients. Like, for example, if I'm training and someone that is new to it comes behind me and starts screaming, go, lift it. It's like, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm sure if I didn't have the lifting experience that I have, trying to tell someone like Thor, hey, I want you to do 400 kilos by 3 reps. It's like, why would I want to listen to you little pipsqueak? Do you know how that feels? And for me, I'm able to say, well, I have never squatted 400 kilograms for 3, but the level that I have lifted at, it's still respectable
relative.
enough
For sure.
for him to say, he knows the pain that I'm going to go through right now. Okay, I respect it. So I do believe strongly that my level of a lifter has helped me greatly as a coach, and And I know this because it's a question that I've encountered so many times when people say, do you need to be a great lifter to be a great coach? The answer is you don't need to be, but it damn well helps.
Yes.
And that's one of the biggest things that it helps with. When I actually, some of the lifts, like as I said with the bench press, some of the lifts I can outlift Thor. And I'd be like, okay, so I'm training for my comp. Today I benched 200 for sets of 5. So you have to do it today. And he's like,
Okay.
Well, if you can do it, it's like, that's right. Correct. Go and do it now. And he's like, for sure. And he'll smoke it, of course. A, because he's competitive and he's not going to let me get the better of him. But B, because he respects, sure, like this guy's not just spitting out numbers and whatever. Like there is structure to it. There is method to the madness.
Yeah. Obviously, like coaching as an athlete is going to be a huge, massive push. What are you spoke about the Lily Bridges, but what other mentors have you had coming up as like when you first started coaching, or like resources you were looking into, or because we like this topic because the nostalgic sort of like the T Nation articles and all that sort of. But where did you find your initial sort of?
Well, totally. It started. Yeah, I was all over T Nation.
Were you in the bodybuilding forums? Bodybuilding.com forums?
I wasn't part of them. No.
Did you know Ziz?
No, I didn't know him, but I know who he is, of course. Everyone knows Ziz, just like everyone knows Liver King. But I've never met him.
He's the new Ziz.
Yeah,
Maybe
he is Ziz.
No, I know. Sorry. That was
disrespectful.
That was disrespectful.
A little bit. Apologies.
Did you hear Max Tuning and Christian Guzman mention Ziz in their podcast?
Yeah.
Ziz
is the GOAT.
I was mind blown when I was like, Americans are talking about him from
funny.
the influence he had. Because that for us, when we left high school, Ziz was his YouTube videos. We were like, we just want to get shredded and go to. Like that was literally our inspiration. That was our inspiration.
Well, I think he was such a major domino for just Instagram fitness.
Yeah.
Well, just social media fitness as a whole.
He preceded it with Facebook. He was on Facebook. But yeah, we digress. We love Ziz, as you can tell. But
of course. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah. What was your where was your push from? Where was your initial sort of?
Yeah. So I started in the industry, and I started with my journey it wasn't strength to training with weights, because I was a skinny guy. I was 63 kilograms at this height. So that's 5'11", and I was skinny, and I just met a girl, which was my wife now, and we went on our first date at the beach, and I was like, fuck, I don't want to take my shirt off, because you can see my rib cage. You know what I mean? That's embarrassing. And, and she's a hot chick, and it's like, fuck, I need to do something. And my brother, who...
He's a big boy too.
Yeah, he is. He's right into kind of the aesthetic side of training, more so than the strength side, even though he is very strong, but he's just a tank. Yeah. And you'll see him. He's outside. Actually, I can see them both outside. Alex, Simon, and my brother.
Big man.
They'll come in and train soon.
Couple of heavies.
Yeah. And he had a gym set up at home, and I started training with him. And the way that we trained was all based on Arnold Schwarzenegger encyclopedia. So the way that I trained was bodybuilding style. I didn't even know about strength training. And then a few years in as a personal trainer, there was a professional strength coach. He'd just come from South Africa, and he was training the South African Blue Bulls, which was one of the rugby teams. I don't follow rugby, but I just knew he was a pro strength coach. And I thought, that's super cool. I'd love the idea of being strong. I thought I was kind of strong, but I trained for bodybuilding. And, I employed him as a personal trainer.
Nice.
His name was Jeff White. And, I employed him as a trainer, and he introduced, periodization and concepts like progressive overload, which I'd never heard of. It was just like, train for the pump. And that's kind of all I did. I understood symmetry and balance and all based on aesthetics, but I didn't really know much about, training principles, like variation, specificity, like all of these, seemingly simple concepts. I had no idea what it was. So he introduced to me, week one, we're training, I'll spit out the numbers, 100 kilos or whatever. Next week, we've got to do 105 kilos, the week after 110. It's like, okay,
makes sense.
It makes sense, And I was able to do it. And it's like, okay, so I'm getting stronger as we're doing this. And in addition to this, I started putting on muscle mass, which was my initial goal. And it's like, wow, this is a whole new world to me, strength training. And I really enjoyed it. Like I got really put off the idea of aesthetics training, because it's just all subjective measurements. I'd look in the mirror and it's like, am I getting leaner? Am I looking better? It's all, you pinch your fat. It's all subjective. Whereas strength training, it's like, I've seen it. It was 100 on week 1, 105 on week 2. Like I can see the weight going on the bar and I'm able to lift it. And it changed my whole views on the way I see training. I'm into training more about the long game. So it's like you need to enjoy the way that you train if you want to stick to it long enough to be good. And I wasn't enjoying weights when I was doing bodybuilding because I plateaued. I wasn't getting better. I wasn't looking better or getting anything. So that's when I took up martial arts, because it's like, fuck, this is getting boring. Until I was reintroduced to strength training, that ignited my passion to getting stronger. Not because I wanted to be a powerlifter either. I just wanted to get strong, which is why my first athletes that I ever coached were martial artists.
Yeah.
And then I kind of stepped into powerlifting. I coached. Some of the oldies know a lady by the name of Mary Mackin.
Yep.
Now, she used to be a legend in Australia. This was over a decade ago. She was 5th place overall in Australia, and I took her within 2 months of training to number 1 in Australia by far, and achieving world masters records. And this, my style of training is very different, but back then we used the squat every day approach. John Bruz, I don't know if anyone's heard of him.
Bruz, what a name.
Yeah.
With the ACL rehab on, huge
Right.
name.
Well,
yeah.
I encountered him through looking at Bro's Gym, but looking at average Bro's Gym. Yeah. Pat Mendez, who was...
what a freak.
Right. He was known as the world's strongest teenager. And there was a video of him...
Have you seen Pat Mendez? Holy shit.
He's amazing. He squatted 363, so 800 pounds.
High bar,
weightlifting bar. So this thing's flapping around
bumpers,
on his back, ass to grass, and
walks it out out of stirrup things. Like, man, a freak.
Yeah. And so I looked at that, and it's like, this guy squats every day, heavy, max out, Bulgarian style, all of these things, and it's like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
So that was another mentor of mine back in the day, and I used that approach. I don't now. Yeah. But I used that approach very successfully to create actual world records. So that's how we got Mary Mackin at the age of 50 years old to go from 5th in Australia to number 1, like by formula, by Wilkes.
Yeah.
And so that was another stepping stone with my success as a coach in the country.
It's crazy how sort of like your first athlete that you really pushed was a super high frequency strategy, and then with the big boys, it's
opposite end.
Other end, yeah.
But they're both hugely valuable in my understanding of what works. And it's like, the more you learn, the more you realize that everything actually works, and its context applies. And I get so like...
You're telling me the science, the hyper optimal science is not the...
Funnily enough, there's not just one way of doing things, right?
Oh, crazy.
Yeah, it's strange. But I mean, that's the way that I was brought up in the industry, was that's the best way. So you should do 8s for building muscle and 5s for getting strong. Like, this is just how you train. That's the best way. And then you start realizing there's so many ways. It's like so many. I do every week I do Q&As on my Instagram, and I see it. Yeah, sometimes it depends who you ask.
They're the best. They're number 1.
Yeah, but some people ask seemingly, I don't want to call it dumb questions, because these are things that I didn't understand in my pursuit to strength. It's like, what's the best rep scheme for strength? And it's like, I can't help but roll my eyes. Like, how many times I said it? There's not a single best rep set scheme. It's like, what's a better exercise, this or that? And it's like, why do I have to choose? Why can't I do both at different times of my training? What's a better style of periodization? It's like, no. They all work at different times. You can work with one and then the next phase, or you can do them. You can integrate them both at the same time. It's like, why do you have to choose one way? Why do you have to sit there and say that that's wrong and this is right? It's not how it works. Mm-hmm. So all of those different styles of training that people like to shit on other things, and it's like, fair enough. But actually, everything works. You got to understand how to apply it, and those are the things. Those are what made up my knowledge and my approach to the way I train all of my athletes. I do train general population. I train my daughter, who's 12 years old.
This would be the next,
hopefully, like I try and it's what I say with Alex. I point their head in that direction, and hopefully they make the right decision.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm trying to do with my daughter. I don't want to beat it into her that I wanted to be a professional powerlifter or anything like that. I'm leading her down this path and showing her the benefits of moving well and being strong, and she sees so much positivity and encouragement through social media when we do posts like that. And it's like, look, this is excellent what you're doing, and you're actually inspiring a lot of young people and parents of young people.
Parents, yeah.
Parents is the
They can
biggest
pass it
audience.
on.
Absolutely.
I see you're not stunting her growth.
She's almost as tall as me, so not yet. I'm going to have to try a bit harder because I don't want her overtaking me. She's taller than her mum and actually all of the women in the family. It's a funny thing.
Already, yeah. Wow.
She's 12 years old, and not that her mum's that tall. Like her mum's a short ass. That's Felicia. You might see her soon. And Dinny J's even shorter than that. She's like 5'1". That's not tall.
Yeah,
that's not hard. It's not hard to outgrow. But anyway,
12. Yeah.
yeah, I need to make her squat a little bit heavier so I can
that's it,
stun
you've
her.
got to stun
Yeah, yeah.
She ain't overtaking me.
Yeah. What's the sort of training that you employ with her? Just fun stuff, or does she want to push the barbell lifts? Like,
Look, she loves, making me proud.
Yeah.
She does love that. She feels good when I encourage her to do great things, and it kind of feeds off each other. And then she starts realizing, oh wow, this is actually good. Like she starts seeing other girls. So upstairs from this gym is a women's only gym. That's Base Body Studios.
oh, so that's upstairs.
That's upstairs. We're not allowed
Wow.
there.
We're not allowed.
No, that's exclusive.
No dicks allowed.
You have to own a vagina. Yeah. Funny clause in the contract. Anyway, I don't have one of those.
Yep.
But she sees the people that come in there, and then she walks up and she sees all of the people that are 20 and 30 and 40, like all ages that she's outlifting, and she sits there and looks at it and it's like, see, you're pretty good, aren't you? And she's like, fuck yeah, this is. She's competitive as well. I wonder where she gets that from.
Gets up there, flexes on them.
Totally.
It has to.
But I mean, the thing is, if you see her, she's a little string bean. She's 43 kilograms. She's skinny. And she's squatting 60 kilograms, which I think is
Amazing.
Well, for a kid it is.
Yeah.
For a kid it is. But it's like if you came to me and said, oh, I squat 60, I'd be like, it's in the scheme of things, that's not breaking records or anything like that, but that's not the intention.
No.
The intention, so the way that I train her is at the moment she's training 2 days a week, and that's compulsory. I talk a lot about don't push them to do anything if they don't want to do it. That's a great way of getting them to hate it when they're older. But there's a fine line, because it's like, I wish my parents pushed me to pursue a sport or to do something. Like my mum wanted me to be a doctor, and it's like, I don't want to be a doctor. Fuck do you want to be a doctor for?
It's my mum instilled it very early in me. It's like, if you're going to start something, you fucking do it. Like
Right.
if I put my hand up to play, I want to play basketball this year. All right, every 2 days a week you're training, you're going every game.
I love that.
There was no like.
I love that.
If you put if I had shown interest, it's like, all right, if you're doing it, you're doing it. Yeah. So it's one of the best things that my parents did for me.
My
I
dad did
agree.
that massive with the team sport. My dad said to myself, my brother, my sister, he said, you're doing a team sport, pick one, whichever one you like.
Yeah.
And all of us played sport. Like I only stopped
How
a few
good.
years ago. But there was one of the best things I did. And that's something I'd like to instill with my kids, is definitely
It's
sport.
health, it's happiness, it's well-being, it's so many things, so many benefits beyond, like, as I said, my mum's picking a career for me. It's like, I can't pick a career for my daughter, but I know that being strong and moving well and having confidence is going to take her a long way.
For sure.
And I see it as well. A lot of kids that all of a sudden they start with their social media and they've heard of Australian strength coach, and they've heard it, and they're like, "Is that your dad?" And then she feels cool.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's
You'd have every right to feel cool as you as the dad. This massive guy.
Look at him.
lifting
Look at him.
huge
Red
weights.
I don't know.
I go back to when you're a kid and you're like 12 years old and you're this dad lifting massive
Absolutely.
ass weights. Everyone knows who he is. That's sick.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. So I think I'm doing the right thing with
Yeah.
her as well, and I think that she sees it as well. So that's why she does love the idea of improving in this sport, that she's already so far ahead of her age group. And that's why we're hoping to continue. And anyway, so
See where she goes.
those are the things. It's like I train absolute novices. Like the way that we approach it is 45-minute sessions, 2 times a week, whole body every session. Like we do a squat, a bend, a push, and a pull. Sorry, I can hear myself moving away from the microphone. Real simple, 3 sets of each, and then in and out. It's so easy. It's so simple. And then apply progressive overload.
Yeah.
Don't
Apply the principles.
Don't train to fail, and focus on technique. Real simple. And then turn up 2 times a week. And then let's see what she's doing she's 12. Man, imagine her at 17 if she follows that for the whole time. Like,
2 times a week till she's 17. She'll be an animal.
totally.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like that's a real simple formula.
Yeah. It's the biggest thing that people miss there is time.
Exactly.
And that's what, in this world, instant gratification, everyone wants everything now. But like strength and these pursuits are very time driven. You have to put the time in.
Well said. And that's why I switched to strength.
Yeah.
I liked the idea of objectively measuring progression, and I liked it so much that I was able to, I play the maths game whenever I train. It's like last week I did this, the week before I did that, and I do all calculations, and that's enjoyable to me. And that's what gives me the drive to continue to do it, to be good enough. Like I've been doing it for 20 years. And I hope to be doing it for another 20 years. And this is what I try and teach people. That's right, the instant gratification. Like, lose that shit, because you're not going to you're not going to become Arnold Schwarzenegger in a 12-week challenge, or pick your favorite athlete.
Yeah, anything.
You need to be doing it for the long game, firstly, and to be able to do it for the long game, you need to enjoy it enough to put the effort into it. Like, if you're forced to do it, and it's like, fuck, I'm only doing it because, Dad over here is dragging me along and I just want to... No, you got to enjoy it, to put the effort in, to be good, and to enjoy it enough to want to do it for the next decade, to actually be good at it. So that's where I came into strength training. Like, I didn't enjoy hypertrophy anymore. I didn't care about I don't want to say anything derogatory about bodybuilding, because a lot of people love bodybuilding, and hey, I used to as well, but the style of training, just I lost interest real quick.
It just changed for you.
Yeah, and you found something
you
worth.
Enjoy.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
you said, what you enjoy, you're going to probably do it better, and we're big on that as well with our clients. But I think the biggest thing that you said before is that you're still coaching general pop, novice people, and this is something that we've harped on, because we get a lot of young coaches that listen to this, even yourself, you're still training general pop, because some of our best clients, they're as general population as you can get. But they're committed, they work hard, they want to get better.
Amazing.
And so some of your best clients can be those people, and you're not just.
And you're never above it. I think that's the big thing. You're never above. Yeah,
you're not just training Hathor. Yeah, Hathor's cool, and he's
totally. And that's the thing as well. It's where it can be skewed a little bit. People see my social media, and I post the freaks, so people look at me and they go,
"Oh, well, it's marketing at the end of the
absolutely." Because if I showed someone squatting body weight, it's like
you got to play the algorithm. You have to.
Totally.
It's all right. You got it.
Yeah. It's like Liver King eats balls to beat the algorithm. Do you know what I mean?
He's beating the algorithm.
He's beating it. So maybe I need to eat some
That's
balls.
what we're missing.
That's what we're
missing.
Well, that's our part two. Part two of the potty is we get some testes out here and we just go hard.
Sashimi style testicles.
Incredible.
That's it. Part two. When we come back up to Sydney, we're going to be eating some testicles on this table.
Oh, I love it.
I know the boys are out here and we're pretty strapped for time. So I just want to say thank you. And not just thank you for having us here. Thank you for pushing what you've done in the last, I think it was like 8 years or whatever we sort of came to. But it does motivate us. Like, I feel like we're just starting to find our strap now, and a lot of the stuff that we want to do, and we mirror it from you, because
I appreciate that so much. That's such a big compliment from you guys. It's so refreshing to come across guys like you who are just also a positive influence on everything that we do. At the end of the day, we're helping people. We're not charged. Like, I don't know if you guys make money from this or whatever it is, but it's like
small,
right? But it's like we're doing good things, and to be positive like how you guys are, it was just like a real breath of fresh air. So thank you guys for doing what you guys do as well, and thank you guys for asking me to be on your show, man.
Yeah,
it's been an absolute pleasure.
We'll definitely have a part two at some point, but we'll get the we'll
try the testicles out.
Would you eat some with us if we could do it? Would you eat some with us?
I'll eat it whole.
How's that? Donnie, you got that?
I was joking. Don't hold me to that. Don't hold me to that.
We're getting Liver King smorgasbord of kidney, pancreas, heart, liver.
As these nuts. All right.
Bone marrow.
Thank you very much. We'll wrap it up. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for that.